case he wants. In case he wants. So I'm fine. So the meantime, I'm okay.
So we're on, I always forget what that we're on. Yitzayin Amud Beis. Pretty sure. So the Mishnah said that if there's a dispute between the husband and wife when they're getting divorced, or he died and she's a widow and now the Yorshim, and she says that I was a basula at the beginning of this marriage and I'm supposed to get 200, and they say, or he says that you were almana at the time and you only have a ksuba of 100. So it says if she proves that she was a basula by bringing witnesses that when she got married there was a hinuma, which we'll see soon what a hinuma is. So then that's a proof that she's a basula and she gets 200, if not none. So there was the question: maybe she has a ksuba. She's coming without a ksuba. It means that the contract is a contract that's a ksuba. Usually by any kind of a debt. So you bring the contract that you owe me, and the person the lover pays, and he gets the contract back and tears it up. So he knows that he's not going to be demanded again. They're not going to file another complaint against him. But over here, we're giving the ksuba, we're giving her the payment of the ksuba without the ksuba. Or else it wouldn't be an issue. If she has a ksuba, it would say over there how much it is, 200, 100. So obviously she's coming without a ksuba, and we're paying her the ksuba. We make the husband pay even without the contract, without getting the contract. And all she has to do is bring Adam that she was a basula. So the question is, she'll come again, and she'll bring Adam again that. Oh no, the mother's not that. The mother says you're giving her now without the ksuba, just with the Adam alone. So then maybe she has a ksuba really, and she said I lost it, but really she has it, and she's going to come with the ksuba tomorrow, and come to another bezdin that doesn't know that she already collected, and they'll make him pay again. That's the concept. Maybe she'll bring Adam over here. The word mafka is to bring out. She'll bring out Adam, like it says in the Mishnah, bring Adam that she was Yatzah Beinuma, that's good enough. She'll collect the ksuba. Then mafka la ksuba behind bezdin v'gavya bash. Go different bezdin and also collect ksuba again. That's dangerous to make him pay without getting the ksuba back. From here you could derive that Allah is kosman shova. Kosman shova means you write a receipt. That means of course you can write a receipt. But the question is, does the malva, usually the malva says, I don't want a receipt. If I get it, if I don't give you back the contract, the malva says the lova. The malva comes to the lova and says, you owe me money. And the lova agrees I owe you money, but the malva doesn't have the contract. So the malva says, pay me and I'll give you a receipt. But the lova says, I don't want a receipt because I'm going to have to hold on to the receipt for a long time. And you, I'm cautious, maybe you have the contract someplace. And another couple of years, you're going to take out the contract and say that I didn't pay, and I did pay. I don't want to hold on to a receipt forever. So that's machlokas. Could you force the lova to pay and to receive a receipt? Or he says, if I don't get the contract, I'm not going to pay. Even though I agreed that I owe the money, but if you don't give me the contract, so then you're going to collect again. It seems to be a machlokas. And here the Gemara wants to derive from our Mishnah, if it says that we do force him to pay the ksuba, even though she's not getting the ksuba, even though he's not getting the ksuba in his hand. So that must be a proof that we do force the lova or whoever owes the money to pay, and he should accept the receipt and he has to watch it. From our Mishnah, you see that we're giving him forcing him to pay the ksuba without getting the contract, without getting the ksuba back. That must be that we could derive always the halacha is going to be like that, the kosman shova. And kosman shova means it's not, of course you can write a receipt, but the point is that we force the lova, the one who's high, we force him to pay and to accept the receipt, and he has to watch it forever, or else the.
So, but why here is it different? Really, she should show the
So the Pasha says that she lost it, and it still says he has to pay because he agrees he didn't pay. He just says 100, 200, and that we can prove that she was a basula, and then he has to pay, and he gets a receipt that she shouldn't be able to come again. The Papa Amar, the Malcolm Chain calls from Ksuba Askina, another teretz, and he seems to be saying that you can't prove here to the regular halacha about the malva and alova. The other case is that they don't write a ksuba. It means a ksuba is different than a regular contract. The regular malva alova, you always get it. You always have a receipt. You always have a contract. So over there, it could be that the lova has the right to say that I'm not going to pay only if I get the contract back. If I don't, I'm not going to pay. I don't want to hold on to a receipt forever. But here the case is that it's a place where they don't write a ksuba. There is no contract. So then you can't say, I'm worried she's going to come out with a ksuba again, because there's no reason why there's no ksuba. They don't write a ksuba. Nobody gets a ksuba. No woman gets a ksuba. And she just has to prove that she was a basula, and she gets. So there's no chashash she's going to have a ksuba because they didn't write a ksuba at all. But in a place, a regular case of a malva and a loba, that of course the malva has a contract. Maybe the loba does have a right to say, I'm not going to pay unless I get the contract back. I don't want to hold on to a ksuba. So it seems to be a machlokes between, if you can bring a right from here to the mandam where it says kosman shoba. Rabbi Bo said, here's a proof kosman shoba, and he can apply it also to a malva and a loba. Rabbi says, could be not. Could be over here that there's no ksuba written. That's why we could force him to pay, and there's no shach will take out the ksuba because there is no ksuba. But in a place where there is a contract, there's supposed to be a contract, and she doesn't have it, or the loba or the malva doesn't have it. Maybe you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay because you can still say, I don't want to hold on to a receipt forever. Some seem to say the same achlok. The whole Gemara we just had with the kasha, with the Ravo, Rapapa, two different terusim. We just had it on the Mishnah, and some have the whole shakavatai that was said on a brisa. Some have this whole Gemara that was learned on a brisa. And I was going to say the brisa. Yes, please.
I just don't understand. Even if there's no ksuba, why can't we choshesh that Edom that she was a basula came to one bezdin, and then Edom, different Edom went to a different bezdin to say that she didn't get it.
That's a great kasha, and the Gemara itself is going to ask it. That's going to be the next Gemara. That's about 15 lines down. That's where the Gemara is going to ask it. It's going to be here and highlighted, and the Gemara is going to come out. That's a good kasha. But at this point, the Gemara is asking that maybe there's going to be a ksuba, and the answer is maybe there's no ksuba. They don't have ksubas in those places. The Gemara is going to say the same thing over again, and here the Gemara seems to say is going to try to prove that there is a ksuba. The Rice is going to say that it's makom shekos min ksuba, and also we force him to pay, which will be lean itself to Rabbi Bo. Is Rav Papa going to be able to get out of the Rice? Here it says the case. It seems to say, if you read the simple words, that she says that she lost the ksuba, or she says that she put it someplace and she doesn't know where it is, or she says that I got burnt. So here it says with Farish that it's not a case where there was a ksuba. She's being molded that there was a ksuba, but she doesn't have it. So, and the question is it 200 and 100? So it says, same way Amisha says that she has Edim, that there was a hinuma, whatever custom they had to show that she was a basula at the time of the wedding. So it says other examples over here. They danced. It could be that in those days they only danced by basula, by almana. They didn't dance. It sounds like nowadays they do all kinds of tricks, some kind of juggling, whatever they do, they juggle fire, whatever it might be. So that kind of thing they only did by basula, they didn't do by almana, or they passed before her a cup of the news, koshel busora. So the Gemara is going to talk about these things. What does it mean exactly? But there was some kind of a simon, a minhag they had that they would pass before her as a simon that she's a basula. Or mapishol basulim, which means like the cloth that they're going to check that there's that there was dam basulim. Some kind of a raya. The minhag shows that she was a basula. So the same thing as our Mishnah, different examples. That's not the point. So it says if she has proof that she was a basula at the time, if she could bring proof that at the time of the wedding they treated her as a basula, that's the right that she was a basula, and she could collect a sign. So the same point as our Mishnah does here. It does says pretty openly that there was a ksuba, because it says she lost it, she misplaced it, she got burned. So that's pretty strong. That's a makom shekosvin ksuba, and still she has the right to collect, and we're going to force him to hold on to a shover. That's the most kasha of leichus tuma mafke edim by bezin v'gavya ba the mafke ksubasa by bezin v'gavya ba. Same kasha as we asked on the Mishnah that maybe she'll bring edim now, and then later she'll bring the ksuba, and here you can't say that there's no ksuba. And the Gemara answers, also meris close to shover. That's what I said before, that it must be from here could derive that even if there was supposed to be a contract, if he doesn't have the contract, we will force him to pay, the lover to pay, and get a receipt. And he can't say, I don't want to hold on to the sober. Make sure you put it in the safe deposit box, make sure you don't lose it. But Papa Amma, and again, he says the same thing that he didn't say it on the Mishnah. He said it over here that it's talking about there was no ksuba. That's really hard because it says yes, she lost it, she misplaced it. It says perish. That's a more kasha. But if the ksuba was a katani, it says that she lost it. That means that she's masking there was a place that was a ksuba. The kasa of la ihu, he happened to write a ksuba. The place, if one tries to get out of it, it's not going to work. That even though the place didn't write a ksuba, but he personally wrote a ksuba, even though the minute was not to, but he gave her a contract. And that's why she says that she lost it. So the kasha comes back again. So if she's saying that the case is she's masking there's a ksuba, and he says I don't want to pay because she'll take out the ksuba, even though she said she lost it, I don't believe her, and she's going to find it, or she has it hidden someplace, and she's going to bring it out and collect the second time. So the kasha comes back. So we'll try to get it like this: my ivda be'or, that she's masking that it was a ksuba, but it was destroyed. Means not only that she says it was destroyed, we know that it was destroyed. It was destroyed. So there's no chash anymore that it's gonna should bring it. We know that it was destroyed. It's true that there was a ksuba, but we know that it was destroyed. I mean, now we don't know what it says, 200, 100. So then she has to bring Edom that she was a psula at the time. But there's no shash to answer the kasha. What's the answer to the kasha? Maybe we should bring out the ksuba. We know that it was destroyed. It says ibda or hitmina or nisrafa. So nisrafa means that it's burnt. And any other kind of way, maybe it's still be found again. Oh, hitmina ma'ikalamema. Hitmina says that she does put it someplace, she doesn't know where it is. So she's asking that it was not destroyed from the world. Maybe she's going to get it. Visu ibda lamali. It seems to be the same kasha again. I'm not sure if there's a third kasha. Why does it say ibda? It could have just said nisrafa. Seems pretty similar to the first kasha. Maybe it just means that the wording itself. Why use the words of ibda? Why not say nisrafa? But anyway, the Gemara rejects all the kind of terutzim. But the word still saves our papa. Ella kol ibda ki yithmina b'fanenu dami v'lo yavin Allah ad amri edim nisrafa ksubasa. So it's a big dochak. But the Gemara is going to try to explain that there's no ksuba. And the way the Gemara wants to read the brayso is like this. We learned that it's three cases. It was lost, it was destroyed, or it was misplaced. I put it someplace I don't know where it is, or it was burnt, like three cases. And the lacha is that if she brings Edim, that she was a psula because Rakdu, Sachaku, Haviru, so then that's the right that she gets 200. But you can learn the brayso a little different. It's a big dochak, but you can read the brayso differently. If the ksubasa, if she claims that it was destroyed, that's like it's mina ksubasa. That that she hid it. That's another way to say that's the psak. The case is ibn ksubasa. The Allah is it mina ksubasa. It's not a third case. Not three cases. In this case, it's as if she hid it and she's going to bring it out again. That means that you don't give her. It means that the Brisa doesn't say that if she brings Zaydim that she was a basula, she gets ksuba. No, she doesn't get ksuba because if she says that she lost it, it's the same way as saying that she put it aside in the drawer and she's going to bring it out tomorrow. So then she doesn't get like period. Put a period over there. But this shafak if we know that it was burnt, so then if she brings a proof that she was a basula, then she could collect because there's no shash. She'll bring out the ksuba again because we know that it was burnt. That's how we could be matching the Brisa in order to say that there's no chash. But you can't, what do you want to do with all this? That it's not a riot to hear that in general the Malva Lova and the Malva says I lost the shtar. Are we going to force the Lova to pay and accept a receipt? Or he says I don't want a receipt because I'm going to lose the receipt. I'm not going to pay till you give me the contract. So that's what Papa says. You could be matching the Brisa is talking about that there's no chash that the ksuba is going to be brought out again because it was burnt. But if there's any chash that she'll bring it out again, so maybe it doesn't have to pay. That's how our Papa is trying to be matrix the Brisa, the same as the Mishnah.
You know for sure that it was misfra, and he doesn't even get a receipt.
Then he doesn't need a receipt. He doesn't need a receipt because she has no document, and she can't collect without a document.
So there's no right about the receipt.
Right. That's what the Papa is trying to say. Before we go further, we still have Nissan's kasha, which we didn't answer. That's going to be the two lines. But before, maybe we should bring them again. We'll come to that in a second. But first, the Gemara just wants to clarify the difference between the two versions. We had one version that your Papa said it on our Mishnah. The other version he said on the Brisa. The Mishnah is very easy to say the whole teretz because it doesn't say anything about a ksuba. That was easy. It doesn't say if it's a makom shekos from ksuba. The Papa said it's a makom shekos from ksuba. And the Brisa is pretty much of a somersault to say there's no ksuba because it says if the ksuba said, you have to do this fancy pshat to say that if does not good, only nisrafa is good. So that's the Gemara is going to say that the first lashon might hold that the second lashon you can't get out of the second lashon. That the second lashon is no answer. That Papa would agree. That's what the Gemara says over here. Madi masna braysa kol shkena masnisin, but madi masna masnisin aval braysa lo kikushya. Whoever says the version that they said it on the Mishnah might say that in the braysa that he wouldn't hold it a second version. That if there's a braysa that says that the ibdik subasa and all these cases that he still has to pay, so that's a good proof. And if Papa wouldn't have said on that you can say such a dochak. So that would be a difference between the two Lashonos if our Papa would say his dochak teres even in the Brisa. But now it comes to Avnis's kasha, and it's nice to take out the two dots because it's not a new Gemara. It makes it sound like the Gemara Suki is over, and it's really continuing. That the Mishnah says, in Yesh Edim, but it said in the Mishnah that if she brings Edim, that she was a psula, she collects, and now the kasha is nothing to do with the ksuba. Forget about bringing the contract. There's no contract. If you're saying that she's collecting with Edim alone, what's the case? She comes with it and she has to have no ksuba. And say makom shenkos, whatever you want. But it says that she's going to collect without any proof. She doesn't have a ksuba, and you pay her. How do you pay her? Why pay ksuba? Because she brings Edim that she was a basula at the time. So she did it once and she's successful. She can do it another time and she'll be successful. She'll go someplace else, not with a ksuba. She'll go with Edim. She'll go to another bezdin and say that I was a psula, and this was saying that she gets, you're seeing that the first time she got without having a ksuba, that means that you make him pay without a ksuba. So is that, here is no answer. The answer here is the Papa can't say anything. You see, you get a shova. If it's not possible, it means that if there's going to be a case that you do make him pay, which is another way of saying that not that the Papa's off. We didn't disprove our Papa. The Papa is saying that ksuba is different because ksuba is a unique kind of a debt. Most debts you always have a contract. Ksuba was saying is unique that you could collect without a ksuba. If you could collect without a ksuba, so that's another way of saying that we tell the husband that he has to hold on to the shover. But the question was, could you apply this to a regular case of a malva and a lova and say, and the malva says, I lost the contract. Of course it was a contract, but I lost the contract and therefore I want you to pay me and I'll give you a receipt. It could be the lova has a right to say that I don't want to pay till I get a receipt, till I get the contract, because I don't want to hold on to receipt. I'm going to lose it. I know myself. I'm going to lose it. And then you're going to come. I know you also. I'm going to, and you ask a second time. So to say Kosman Shover is a chiddush. Papa says you can't prove it from the case of Ksuba. Ksuba surely have to write a Shover because they gave the husband a right to collect without a Ksuba, without a contract. So that's true. If you could collect without a contract, so then you have to, that's right. By definition, that means that you have to get a Shover, you have to get a receipt in order to make to stop him from being able to collect the second time. But a regular case where you have a contract, so it could be that the loba has a right to say, I'm not going to pay till I get the contract back. I don't want to hold on to a shovel. I just have the halacha here that we hold kosman shovel amalva. Means even though Papa's trying to get out of it, but the mice that we do pass in the kosman shovel amalva, if the loba agrees that he's chayiv, and he says I do owe, but I don't want to pay until I get the contract, we could obligate him to accept the receipt and hold on to it, make sure you hold on to it, don't lose it.
So
And you
excuse that I'm going to lose the receipt is not.
yeah, it's not enough to stop him from to stop the man. The Malva has
She
a
wants her money, and so she's trying to.
here for sure. By we said by super for sure, but even by Malva and Loba, where there is a contract, and the Loba says you lost the contract, I'm going to have to hold on to a shoba forever. We say yes, that you have to pay the Malva, and you'll get a receipt. And even though you would have rather have the contract and tear it up, you're still not going to, let's say, you're off the hook, you don't have to pay. You have to pay and you get a receipt and hold on to it.
So the borrower can't make an excuse and say the lender doesn't give me a receipt, I'm not paying till I see the receipt.
The contract. Even if he says, I don't have the contract, you make him pay and he'll get a receipt and hold on to it.
Who takes care of that?
But don't matter, yeah. I mean, if they can do it on their own, they do it on their own. They know the halacha that the Malva says, I lost the contract, and the Loba says, what's this?
There was a loan,
He admits it.
he admits
He
it.
admits that. I owe you the money.
Yeah, but I don't want to hold on to receipts, so I'm not going to pay till I get the contract. So the halacha is that he can't say that, and he does have to pay and accept the receipt. So in the Brisa, it's had a couple of cases more about the minhagim of those times, what they would do by Basula, and the Mishnah talked about a numa, and here it says some other examples, so we want to know what these examples are. It talks about dancing and secha kula fana, okay, that we understand that they did that only by Basula, but what is this thing about a koshel basura? Havil fana koshel basura. Basura means like the news, like this, which means the basura that she's a basula. But what did they do? What is this cup? What does it mean? My koshel basura. The custom was by Basula, they would pass before her a cup of wine of truma, and that's supposed to be the siman that she's a basula. Why is a cup of wine of truma a siman that she's a basula? It has to make sense. Like what kind of minig is that? Kloma,
She's got to be a bas kohen or marrying. What's going on?
she's not drinking the truma. It doesn't say that. It says that the siman that she's a basula, the same way that it says before inuma or chila kloyos or rakdulafana. Different culture it was different simanim that they had when a girl got married. When she's a basula, they would do certain things. Nowadays they write an invitation, akala, basula, mulola, whatever. They write basula beferish, and that would be also probably a good simon nowadays if she brings she brings the wedding invitation, and maybe she has to prove that was original. That she doesn't just print it now. Maybe that she has to prove. But if she proves that if she get a proof that this was the original wedding invitation, so it says basula. Fine, they wouldn't write that if she wouldn't be a basula. So here the case. Here we're looking for. We're just talking about the email date and everything. So. Here they're talking about the customs that they had in those days when what they did by Basula. It happens to be one of the customs was that they would pass before her a cup of truma, wine of truma. That was simon. She's a Basula. What kind of simon is that? That she's fitting to eat truma means that she's not a Baula. If she would have been a Baula, so she was thought to be a Basula, and she came out that she's a Baula. That means that who knows who the bowl was? Maybe it was a puzzle. So that's the if she'd be marrying a Kohen, she'd be allowed to eat truma. That's another way of saying she's a basula and she's not questionable about her status being able to eat truma because she was a basula. What? You have to be Ashes Kohen also. That's very detailed. But the point is, we're not giving it to her. It's not. We're passing it before her. We're passing it before her. Doesn't they give her to eat to drink it? You pass it before her, and that is the simon that she's a basula. The same thing that you dance and you bring a hinuma and whatnot, kavakdu and sachaku. You also there was a custom to bring a wine and a wine of truma, and that would be a simon that she's a basula. Masiflar papa atu amana milo achla betruma. It's not true that only a basula. It's like saying the basula eats truma because she's no chash that she was nivel the pasula, and a one who's a baula cannot. That's not true. And Almana also, as long as she wasn't nivel the pasula. It's true that a basula was not nivala lepasala. She wasn't nivala at all. But that doesn't mean that anybody that is nivala is chashud that she's a kosher. So that wouldn't be the simon. So the simon is like Abelazar said, Elam Papa zu rachis ketruma rachis. It's just another way. Simon for rachis doesn't even have to do an rachis kohen. It just means that truma is called rachis. That's what the Torah calls truma. That you should take truma is called rachis. So too, the woman is rachis means she was never nivala yet. It's just a simon. They probably just said they could have brought challah. Challah is also called rachis. It's something that's called rachis. So it's just a way of saying that this is her first time marriage. She never was married before, and she never was a nivala before. So that's the simon that they used to do in those places to bring a kosher truma to say that she's a basula. Okay, some woman hug him over here. There was a custom that they used to bring a barrel of wine before the kala when she's a basula. There were two customs. If they did a barrel of wine for any kind of a marriage. If it was a basula, they brought a closed barrel, and that means that she's a basula. If it was a bula, second time marriage, or she's a bula, whatever, so then they would bring an open barrel to say that she's an almana. The Gemara says you don't have to have two simanim. It's enough just to have a siman for a basula. If you don't have the siman, that means that she's not a basula. Amai never come a basula, never come a bula, lo never cloud. Let us just pass the siman of a basula, and not to make anything by a bula. We have to make a siman after she's almana. Just bring the barrel, the closed barrel, when she's a basula. And if she's almana, you don't bring the barrel at all. The answer is we want to have a dafka siman that she's an almana, not just the absence. Zin in the tough summer sign, but amra basula boy. Behind the low abu kamoy, you still say who. It's true that you wouldn't be able to demand if she says that Chasana I was a basula at the time, and he says no, you're a bula. So she has to prove it. But she only has to prove it because the Moshe Mechaber of Araya, that she's coming to extract money from the husband. So she has to prove it. If she can't prove it, the husband wouldn't have to pay 200, only 100. But sometimes she has the money. Tafsa. Somehow she was tofes the money, and she has the money, and now he's trying to extract it from her. She says I deserve to get 200, and I have 200. It was 200 whatever on the desk. And when she got divorced, she took the 200, and she says it's mine. And then he says, no, you are almana. You're only supposed to get 100. So then he's the one mosi mechaveru, and then he has to prove it. So he doesn't have any proof. So the mitafka used to make a proof, and then she'll say, I was a basula, and he asked me to bring the proof that there was a minhag to pass by a barrel before a basula, and they didn't do it by you. She says they didn't find a barrel. There was an onus over there. It was late. The barrel, the one who's supposed to bring the barrel didn't bring it. But you have to prove that I'm wrong, and I have the 200, and you want to take it away from me? Prove that I was an almana. So he made a simon also that who's an almana. So he'll be able to bring the edim that she was an almana because they passed by the barrel that was open. So that was a custom to make a clear clarity. If she was a basula, they did one custom. If there was almana, they did another custom. There's different customs at the time. And now we go into Raganata. Everyone knows Tanur Rabbanan Kesed Makna Lefnei Kala. How do you dance for the Kala? So the Gemara is not talking about how do you dance, but what do you say when you dance? It sounds like you're supposed to say something also. You don't just dance. Not like we know the song goes. So Beit Shammai says, find the qualities that she actually has and say them, but don't say things that she doesn't have. Find the truth to say good things about her. But that even if even if she's not so beautiful, say she's beautiful. Even if she's not so charming, say that she's charming. That's Rashi seems to say the word chasuda doesn't mean chasida. It means chut shel chesed. She has a charm to her. So talk about a quality, even if she doesn't have that particular quality.
Are you allowed to look at a collar?
Doesn't
Gemara
say
didn't
that.
talk about
The Gemara
that,
says that. Here doesn't say it. Oh, you're saying how did know that she's beautiful? It's also interesting that in those days the men would say how beautiful the color is. Nowadays it wouldn't be so accepted.
Right.
It doesn't say here that how's he going to believe you? You know, if she's lame or blind, they're going to say that she's beautiful and charming, like she's not. And the problem with Beishamai is that the Torah says you're not supposed to say a lie. This is called lying.
I don't get
So-
this, by the way. You can't be beautiful and blind. What's blind have to do with beauty?
I guess it means that if she's ugly.
The nice way of saying.
I guess so. Amalahan Beisil Bishama, the Vechem, Mishal Lokach Mekach Bram and Ashuk, Yishapchenu Be'einav, or Yiganenu Be'einav, if somebody bought something, and I guess the case is that he can't return it anymore. If you can return it, so help him to return it. If you think he made a mistake, he was, but if somebody bought something and he can't return it, that doesn't say that, but I think that's a shot. So should he praise it or should he degrade it? Should he say, what you buy, it's terrible? No, there's no purpose. So praise it. It sounds here for some reason Beishamai also will be masking, even though Beishamai says B'dvasher Ketircha. So I don't know what the Shakavatari is. How come Beishamai's mode over here? If Beishamai says by a kala that he shouldn't lie, so how come he agrees that by a mekach you could lie? And Beishamai is saying the same way you agree by a mekach you should lie and say that it's good, even if it's not.
As a caution.
And that's the kasha. And Beishamai seems to agree. I'm not sure, but from the kasha it sounds like Beishamai is telling Beishamai over here. You agree, don't you? That if someone bought something and it's not worth praise, not praiseworthy, but he should praise it anyway, make him feel good. If anyway, well, he's not going to be able to say here too that he's getting married, so praise it, even if it's not 100% true. Famous Gemara. This seems to be the only place in Shas where it says it, that a person should be me'ur b'mavriyos. So the word me'ur, they say, means connected, mixed. That means that a person shouldn't be saying only the truth in a way that he's going to be separated from society. He should make.
Make people feel good. It's not separate from society. I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. This is the way. I don't get why the Gemara says. From here, the Chachamim said that the person should be more of a mabrios. So I don't understand, like the Rambam was saying. I would have thought from Mikana Chachamim make people feel good, but here it says more of a mabrios. So I don't know what that means exactly. I know what it means, that a person should be. A person should be together with people, and he should he should be socially integrated. Good.
So why is that a shikasha?
What does it have to do with telling people that they bought a good thing?
It's exactly right.
That's called socially integrated. It's called making them feel good.
And what is that?
That's all. It's the purpose is that I should be socially integrated.
It would be socially awkward if someone would say something like that, or someone say, "Oh, by the way, your new wife's not beautiful," or I don't know.
It would separate him from being socially integrated, but I would have thought that the point is not that I should be socially integrated as much as that I shouldn't make somebody feel bad. I should make him feel good. So I don't think that the yesod would be to be socially integrated.
I don't like it. I just keep quiet. I don't say that. I'm not going to make it long. How do you?
No, but it should happens to be
Rashi?
the subject of.
What does Rashi say?
You didn't ask me for a comment. You comment.
Lasos for ish vish getzono.
No, but he's
For
giving
what
a
purpose? To be
case
more of a mabrios. If the word more means socially integrated, so it could be, but I would have thought that that's not the point. How come I make people kitzonis for ish? How come I make people happy? In order that I should be socially integrated? It's true. It's a nice advice, but is that the point? The point is that I should be. It doesn't say Kiddush Hashem either. It says you should be a more mabrios. But so I would have thought that. I would have said it could be that to make people feel good. If he bought it, then he has it, so make him feel good. But the point is that I should be socially integrated.
Obviously, we're praising,
We're saying Hillel. We're agreeing with Hillel,
So
base Hillel. But we're
can I
saying
just say, that on the Kala on the night, she's an ugly girl. Okay, that's just.
there's no difference. The Gemara
Let's
says,
just say
hey, when
she's
you
an
buy
ugly
something,
Whatever the Peshat is, but on the night of the Kala.
that's not the point. The point is that she's beautiful.
Because there's an additional element that comes to her on the night of her wedding. I know she's not pretty, but even a not pretty person.
Shammai also would say that the Shekhinah is resting upon the Kala. What else? The Kala Kamoshi. The Kala Kamoshi also means you say her qualities. Okay, we pass on this.
I just want to say that there are certain times that we're surprised that somebody looks so like bland or not nice or not pleasant. At sometimes they actually.
If she looks
shine-
beautiful
they
at the time,
shine.
if she does, the Bishami also would say that she's shining. Bishami has no problem with that. If it's true, Bishami has no problem. Talking about that is not true. You want to say that it's true. Bishami seems to say that if it's true, you could say.
600-pounder, whatever, I don't know.
You'd be a very beautiful 600-pounder. I don't get it. I mean, I wouldn't want to.
It seems that
I'll just say.
it seems that the machlokus is in a case where it's not true. You're going to say all kinds of truths. So then Bishami has no problem with that. But we're talking about something that's not true. We still say it. Of course, it has to be within the bounds that the chassan should believe. You know, if it's a joke, so then you don't say on the 600-pound. You know, like what a skinny. Like that's not doing the chassan a favor. Also, I just want.
Wine said a beautiful story. He said that he read a shidduch from one of his talmidim, and the guy comes back from the shidduch and he says, "Maybe I'm looking for a really beautiful girl. I mean, she's a very nice girl, but you're beautiful." Maybe 2 years later, when marijuana gets invited to his wedding, he comes up. He says, "I can't believe it." He says, she was as close to ugly as ugly could be. Okay, but this is what the guy thought. I mean, because he said to Rebel, "I'm looking for a pretty girl." He thought that this ugly girl that he ends up with.
So what was the shot?
No, so it's all in the
He's saying it's the eyes of the
beholder.
beholder. If it is,
Yeah.
The fellow says he couldn't believe it. He says the guy tells me he's looking for a beautiful girl. He ends up with a.
Mhm,
Okay, but
But
he,
you know what I think?
Okay.
I think it's also a little bit of a limud in that when you have the situation is that here's a caller, you just arrived, you're invited to a wedding, you don't know her, you know the person, I don't know, you know the family, you're invited. So you can have two choices on how you look at it. You come in there and she's a gavaz, she's not a gavaz, you say beautiful wife, bride, blah, blah, blah. And if you take a quick chance, if you come down and you start to look at it, you look at the situation, and you take time to evaluate, and she's she's not so pretty. I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. But or you're in a place of suffering. So blast out something positive.
Bisham Bishil says that that she's. That's not what's being said. That's not what's being said. It says here, even if she's not, say it anyway. That's what it says.
I don't see what it says. She's not good.
It says with Hashekateh. How come Bishil says anyway? That's what the words are. You're saying that she's really. All these things are very nice, but Bisham is talking about.
She's not, but.
So Bishil says say it anyway, not because you don't know, because say even if it's not true. Of course, I'm not saying it has to make the chassan feel good. Agav, Machavusa pointed out that the purpose of saying how beautiful she is not for her, it's for the chassan. That's what it says here. She's called the Mekach. Same way it says that he bought something, so say that it's good. So here's the chassan too. So Kesed Maklu Pnei Kala means that the chassan should hear. You have the Kala in the presence of the chassan that he should be impressed with his Kala. Kesuvos Yomar, Hachim Mashu Kami Kal Seba Merva. Rav Dimi said he came to Eretz Yisrael, the Babel, and he told the people in Babel, this is what the custom is to sing before the Kal in Eretz Yisrael. Lo Chal, Velo Srak, Velo Pirchos, V'Yalas Chaim. She doesn't need any makeup, and she still is charming. Chal and Srak and Pirchos, all kinds of different makeups, eye makeup, whatever it might be. And Pirchos is going to be something about the hairdo, maybe. She doesn't need all this fake stuff, and she's charming anyway. That's the phrase that they said in Eretz Yisrael. Because it is, the Gemara brings in something agav, which is about 10 lines. It has nothing to do with the kala. It has to do with chachamim. When the Rabbanan gave smicha to Rabbi Zera.
Is the way people look at this mina? Is that what it means?
No, that's what they say, that she is charming.
She is charming. And this was a nice thing. Right?
That's what they said in Eretz Yisrael about the kala. That's what they would sing to the kala. She doesn't need makeup and she's beautiful. Beautiful, charming. Ki samchu Rabbana. This comes in agav now because we have said this expression, so it also applied to Rabbanan also. Ki samchu Rabbana Rabbi Zera. When the Rabbanan gave smicha, they gave smicha to Rabbi Zera. They made him to be authorized. What do they call today smicha?
Ordained?
They sang to him the following by the Sudas Hachtara, whatever they made the ordination of Rabbi Zera. So they did for him the same expression that they said for Akala. He doesn't need any makeup, and he's charming. So the point is probably to say that people that are sometimes in a position of authority or a rav, they need some pitchufkit. They need some things to make them deserving of the title of the. And he doesn't need any of that. It means he's not talking about his. We're not talking about his beauty. We're not talking about his beauty. We're talking about other whatever the mila would be for a chacham. He doesn't need all of the paraphernalia. He doesn't need the frock. He doesn't need the Hamburg. He doesn't need all the. He doesn't need the two buttons. He doesn't need all the externalities to make him deserving of what he is. He's the charm that a rabbi is supposed to have. Not that he's supposed to be beautiful. That's not the point. By a kali could talk about beauty, but by the rabbi it means that he has all the models that he needs without any fake around.
I'm having a hard time with the makeup and the kachal and the shrug, which is all girl things.
So I'm saying that it's an application. It doesn't mean that we're not talking about his beauty, we're not talking about his makeup. We're talking about, I tried to answer the question that we're not talking about the beauty, we're talking about his position. Whatever he's getting smicha, he's becoming a robe. So he doesn't have. So it's understood. It's figurative to take the mashal of a kala and apply it and apply it what it means.
I understand what they're doing.
So that's all. That's all. Now the Gemara is going on a tangent already. By smicha, also other praises that they would say about chachamim when they got smicha, not after the same one. We're going to go off on a tangent now. When they gave smicha to Rabbi and Abbasi, they said the following song. They sang the following. These are going to be the words over here. Give us such kind of rabbanim. Means when you give us rabbanim, give us all this kind, like Rabbi, like Abbasi. But don't give us the rabbis that are samisin and samitin. Some are different gersa. Don't give us the rabbis that are chamisin and tormisin. So what does all that mean? So Rashi tells us some pshatim over here. We know some smartut means shmata, right? Here Rashi says samisin means that they get things mixed up. They change the halachas. Like, they reform the halachas. Don't give us rabbis that are going to change the halachas. They're going to say populim that are not true and come up with the wrong way. Don't give us the rags, smartutin. Don't give us chamisin. Rashi says that they're fifth. Question of chamis, that they're fifth. So Rashi says they say a fifth of the reason. So on the side it says they only learn a fifth of the Masechta. They don't learn the whole Masechta. They only know a fifth. That's Rashi's prat. Another prat here that it means chomes means to hold back. That they don't say the Talmud Torah. They hold back from teaching, and don't give us tomisin. Rashi says he doesn't know. So give us this kind of rabbis. Don't give us the bad kind of rabbis. The Gemara continues. Rabbi Avo, another story here. Rabbi Avo was big in the government he helped the Jews by being close to the government, the Roman government. So when he would come from the yeshiva to the house of the Kesar, Nafkan Amasa the Kesar Ape, the Shfachot, the maidservants of the Kesar, the Goyim, they would come out and they would sing for him. They would sing the following. Rabba the Ame, Madbana the Umasei, Basina the Nahora, Brich Mesayich L'Shalom. The great one of his nation, Rabba means big, Ame of his nation. Madbana the Umasei, the speaker for his, or the leader, Madbana could be leader or the speaker of his nation, Basina the Nahora, the lamp of light. Rich Masayich L'Shalom. Blessed is your coming. The word Messiah is your coming in Aramaic. Blessed is your coming, like Boachem L'Shalom. Blessed is your coming. So that went on a tangent a little bit about the Chachamim. The Umasa is Ummah, his nation. You know the word Ummah?
Yeah, I was just wondering why it's a noun.
That's how it is. Bank Leumi. How do you spell Bank Leumi? No, La'om. Or La'om Yamatz. La'om. It's not an Am. There's a La'om. So that came in Akka. We really were talking about the Kalanova Hasuda. And we and also Lokavalo Strak below Yalas below Perchus Yalas. Now we're going on to more things that did for a Kala. Which is the regular Abuda that we know. He said about Abuda Bariloi, Shainotel, Bachal Hadas, and Miracle of Neakala, or Omer Kalanova Hasuda. He would take a branch of Hadas, a myrtle branch, and he would dance in front of the Kala and he would say Kalanova Hasuda. That was something to do with Hadas. It doesn't say what Hadas is all about. There must be a reason why that's a myrtle branch. Rashi says he would take 3 myrtle branches. Rashi says he would juggle them. It's hard to juggle a myrtle branch. So I don't.
Yeah, unless they had big ones.
Or they
big branches.
Or they bundled them.
The one big
like they ate them together.
Or maybe there's not a pshat besides Rashi. Rashi says it means to juggle, but maybe it's not. Maybe he just danced with 3. It doesn't even say openly about it. Doesn't even say about Hadassah branches over here. It just sounds. Maybe it is going to say soon that it has to do with here the branches also. So that was Shmuel bar Yitzchak. He was the one who danced with 3. Reb Zera, Kamasav Lan Saba. Reb Zera criticized of Shmuel bar Yitzchak that you're embarrassing us. The Saba, like the old man, the old chacham is embarrassing us. Means you're representing to me the chachamim and you're acting lowly by the wedding that he's dancing with three adasim like it. You're embarrassing us.
This seems like, this sounds like dumb, it's fine.
Right.
So the Gemara says that he was right. When Rav Shmuel Rav Yitzchak died, Ifsik, who's the one who used to do it, Ifsik Amuda the Nua Bein Didei L'Kol Yama. A pillar of fire separated between him and everybody else. Like a heavenly pillar of fire came down to separate between the one who was Nifter, Shmuel Rav Yitzchak. We have a Masorah that this thing only happens once or twice, one in a generation, or two in a generation. That is very, very seldom that has happened to anybody. So it means that there was a big schluss he had, that this pillar of fire came to throw the Shmuel Rav Yitzchak. And Abzera said it's because of this thing that he used to do. Even though Abzera criticized him, that he thought that it was not the right thing to do, but he said that the fact that he used to dance for the kala was such a way, that's the reason why he was over to this pillar of fire. So there's three versions of what he said exactly. Abzera said that the shutisa is the branch of the myrtle branch that helped for the zaken. That means that in the schus of what he used to dance with the myrtle branch, that was the reason why he got this pillar of fire. Some say a little different version of what he said. The shtus that he did means he acted like a shtus. When you dance with the myrtle branches, the taka looks silly, but that's what you do for a kala.
So that was the dancing.
Over there was the Chor Hashem. Here was the Chor the Kala. But here's some say that his methods, like a shita, his way of doing it. That what the word was either shutisa or shtuse or shitse, something. That's a confusion in the Gemara of which one he said, which one the Observer said. But all I was saying that he was right for dancing in front of the Kala, even though Observer first thought that it was embarrassing to all the Chachamim, but that was the right thing to do. And you see, he had a big schluss, and the pillar of fire came down. How did he know that it was after the schluss of the pillar? Maybe it's because he was other reasons that he had. Tyson says that it could be that the pillar of fire was in the shape of a hadas. Tyson says a suggestion. Where's Tyson? Maybe. It means a Medrash Rabbah that says. What?
The fire came down.
Oh, the fire came down. It reminds me of Yaakov's family, Shvita, in the Shvachot, who every wedding he comes with a burning hat and he puts on fire and gets a few guys to do it with him and dance around with the burning hat. Yeah, family. Yaakov, yeah, it's every wedding, but he doesn't burn his head. He puts some silver paper underneath it. He uses paraffin, so silver.
The Gemara continues. Rav Acha, Ma'akiv lo akaspe ma'akiv. Rav Acha would put the kala on his shoulders and he would dance. He would dance with the kala on his shoulders. Amri le Rabbanan and An Ma'alu Mevadach. Should we do the same thing? Amalahu idami la'ach kikshu lachayi. V'lo lo. If it seems to you like a beam, then do it. If not, not. It means that he didn't have any hair. What?
Who asked him? Who asked the question?
Rabbanan.
Rabbanan.
Should we do the same thing? So Rav Acha told them, if they seem to you like a beam, means you don't have any thoughts, any herhurim, so then yes, do it. If not, not. It means that he had no taiva, and therefore that didn't bother him. But if a person has taiva, then he shouldn't go so far. Just to point out that the collars in those days were 12 years old. It wasn't like nowadays, but that 19, 20. But the point was that they're like 12 years old. So he would, but even that, only if you don't have any herhurim, because of this, so then to be misamech and put her on the shoulders. If not, not. Permissible to look at the face of the kala during the Shiva Simei Mishnah in order to make her beloved to her husband, that people appreciate her beauty. Say that we don't pass like that. We don't pass. I'm wanted to look at the kala. That now.
So, Mashma, you don't. I mean, even though we said kala no v'chasuda from Beisil, but here it just says mutalli stocking. Not that you're going to tell the cost.
No, this is the bigger chiddush. It's tell the chassan. You could tell the chassan, but not below the stocking. Not here it says that we don't pass like that. We don't pass him to look at her, but you could say the chassan. Now, how are you going to tell the chassan it's beautiful if you don't know? So probably it's only those that know. If someone doesn't know, he's
my wife told me she's gorgeous.
Oh, very nice, very nice, very nice. Okay.
They say she's gorgeous. Whatever.
Not that he has to. He can say that he knows. Yeah. Nowadays, you have to know how to apply this nowadays because it's not depends on the culture that you're in. But in some cultures, it's not acceptable. You just say Kalanava Chasuda, then you also saying Kalanava Chasuda. But if you want to really impress him, like Ravam said earlier, that if you don't sing the song, so they know to sing the song to everybody, so it doesn't really impress the chassan so much that his wife is particularly beautiful just because they're singing Kesed Maktam of Neakala. But it means you're supposed to find whoever knows how to do it, whoever's close enough to be able to do it. So to say things in the Shavach of the Kala that the Chassan should realize and value his new bride. If there's a choice, who goes first? The Chassan. Kala. This Chassan's Kala. The reason why it's called Chassan's Kala, by the way, nowadays Chassan's Kala means fun to get money for the Kala. It doesn't mean that. Chassan's Kala means that you bring the Kala into the house of the husband. That was the wedding procession of once upon a time. Nowadays they go to the hall. It wasn't like that. They used to take the Kala from the house of her father to the house of the husband, and that's Chassan's Kala. That's considered the procession. That was the wedding. Then they came to the house of the Chassan, which is a new home. They'd have a Sudas and Suin over there. That was, and then Shivas Mishnah would be there. That's the wedding of old. So here the question is going on the procession. So there was also a funeral. There was a procession for a bride going to her husband's house, and there was also a funeral for a dead man going to his grave. So who goes first? There's an intersection, let's say, and who's going to stop for who? Or there's only one has to go first. So who goes first? Here it says that the Kala goes first, that the wedding procession goes before the funeral procession. Then it goes a side point about a king. Both of them would have to be pushed to the side if the king is there. If the king's going, so then the king goes before everybody. But there was a case of the king Agrippas that he let the Kala go first. And the Chachamim praised him that even though he was not to go first, but he let the Kala go first. Chaim asked the Morris Kasa, if they praise him, that means that he did good. They didn't do good. But there's a machlokes if a nasi, which is not a king, if he's allowed to be mochel is covered, but everybody holds that the king is not allowed to. It says in the pasuk you should put a king upon yourself. That means it has to be dafka, that he should be upon you, that his fear should be upon you, and you have to. And a king cannot forego his honor. So how is he allowed to? How is he allowed to let the Kala go first, even though he wanted to? But how is he allowed to? The answer is parashas derachim avoy. It was a fork in the road. That means that he avoided going first. It means it didn't show that I'll wait and you go first. It was an intersection or something, and he turned right. He didn't have to. He saw the Kala coming, so he turned it off to the different side, a fork in the road that he could let the Kala go, not being disturbed. But it didn't show that he's letting the Kala go first. He avoided the he avoided the collision, whatever, that they shouldn't. If it'd be a question who goes first, he'd have to go first. But he saw ahead of time what's happening, and he went off to the side in a way, a different path, in order to let the
wise king.
He's considered a good king.
Rebbe, does it mean that Chassan's not really Doma Melech, or is that just because it's a Kala?
No, the Doma Melech is not going to be like the king. It's not. Doesn't have. The medrash over there is a medrash that says different ways that you treat the Chassan like a king, but not that he has the name of the king. And surely the king is the real king. Yes, Rabbi Moshe.
Just to say, when Biden was here, he went to Yad Hashem and he got down on his knees to speak to some lady. There was a house, whatever, and they said that he was a real mensch.
Yeah, I know.
Or going to a funeral or bringing a college procession. So you stop the Torah in order to do that. So if a person's learning, but it's a question of a funeral, so he stops learning in order to go to the funeral, to honor the dead. Right, a new point. And that's what they said about Yehuda, that he would do that if there be a question about learning, either not only personal learning, probably Talmud Torah of many. So you stop learning in order to honor the dead and to honor the Kala. That's only if he doesn't have his needs. But if the mace or the Kala have their needs, so then continue learning. If they don't have those that they need, but if they have what they need, so then continue learning. The rest of the Gemara now goes on a tangent about the funeral, not about the Kala anymore. Maybe by Kala also, if it's called circle, you don't have to stop learning, or you shouldn't stop learning. Of course, if you're a close friend, it does make a difference that he has 100 people, he needs you.
Right, but when a gadol dies and there's 900,000 people here, then, but it's a big issue.
Yeah, that's the question. How many people does he need? You're assuming that 900,000 people is enough. That's what it's going to talk about. How much is called circle? But the rest of the Gemara now is going to talk about the funeral, not about the Kala. the comical circle, what's considered by a mace that he has all that he needs and don't be Mevatel Torah. So a few opinions over here. Amar Rav Shmuel Va'ini Mishmei the Rav Tracer Alpi Gavri Vishita Alpi Shipuri 12,000 men and 6,000 shofar blowers. The shofar blow would be that they would announce the funeral, and it probably was the covered mace that they would blow shofar.
Get the 6,000 people to announce.
That's what it sounds like. Either it's announcement.
How big was the city?
Right. So maybe I take it back. Rashi says, so maybe you're right. Rashi does sound like it's just to announce the funeral. Maybe not. Maybe it's also going to be that that's the way that they would honor. I'm not sure.
Maybe by the God of Israel. No, it's not.
It doesn't say that.
What, 12,000?
So far, it doesn't say.
Who were there, 12,000 people?
He's saying it's talking about the Gemara is going to probably, you're right. The Gemara is going to say in the bottom line that it's talking about someone who learns. So even though not the Kari V'Tani, so not a huge Talmud Chacham, but he learns Mikra and Mishnah. That's what it says so far. Someone learns Mikra and Mishnah. This is the honor that he deserves. 12,000 plus 6,000. And what does Shipur mean? I don't know. Rashi seems to say that they were the announcers, and Rom's asking, you don't need 6,000 announcers for 12,000 people. So I don't know the answer.
That's what I'm saying. A little different. You tell them once they're not going to come. If you keep telling them, we encourage them.
But only 6,000 announcers for 12,000 people. That's I don't know what the answer is. Tracer. They changed it to Tracer. Tracer Alpha Gabriel not 12 plus 6, but 12. And of them is 6. So altogether you have 6 and 6. Means 6,000 shofar blower and 6,000. All right, means one shofar blower for each person. That's I don't know, or one for two. I don't know. Maybe Shipuri is something more than just to announce the funeral. The Gemara said that's the first opinion. 12,000 or 8,000, 18,000. That there are enough people that would form a line from the gates of the city until the grave. It means the cemeteries are outside the city, and you have to have enough people that it's from the grave until coming out of the city, and the people that got to the grave, and there's still people in the line that are still by the city. From the grave until the city, there should be continuous people. When a Talmud Chacham dies, so that's taking the Torah is being removed. So the Torah's removal should be the same way as when it was given. When it was given, there were 600,000 people. So too, when it's removed, also the honor that he deserves is 600,000. So till you have 600,000 people, it's not yet called that he has called circle. But then the Gemara says all this, that's if he didn't teach, he just learns. So every Talmud Chacham deserves 600,000 people. And if not, then he's still supposed to attend the funeral. If he teaches, then there's no shir. There's never called Kosov. Even if 900,000 people, he's still called that he bought Talmud Torah in order to honor the Talmud Chacham. That was the parentheses. That was the point about the funeral. That wasn't our subject. We're back to the case of the Kala again. So our Mishnah said that a simon that she was a basula at the time of the marriage was if she went out with a hinuma, but we don't know what hinuma is. She was a basula. My hinuma sochav bar papa mishmei dezimi amar tanura dasa. So I don't know. Asa means hadasa, myrtle branches. But again, we see about a myrtle branch there with a collar. I don't know what it signifies. But tanura, Rashi seems to say it's like a crown. A crown. I don't know why the word tanura means a crown. Maybe it just means that it was round. Kimin chuppah shaladas agula, like a round chuppah of hadasim. So I don't know if it means that it was a crown or it was a chuppah of hadasim. We find other places also that they used to make a chuppah out of hadasim. There's something very mysterious here, something about myrtle branches. There's something to do with a collar, with a wedding, but I don't know what it is. But that was a sign that they only used to.
Why Dr. Joe with a dust and something.
Probably, yeah.
You would have picked something nicer very easily.
So it means something. Okay, I don't know. And here it says that that's what a hinuma was. Something used to only do for a basul, but they wouldn't do it for an almana. So Rashi says it's some kind of veil, tzif rosha, and it will be even extending over her eyes. And Rashi says if she'd be able to doze off. I don't know what it means, but she's falling asleep. Maybe during the whole Shabbos Mishnah, she's tired, she can fall asleep without. Rashi, I don't understand what it means. The Menamna, but Rashi saying it means Mitnam name, like Tenuma, like dozing off, that the collar would doze off under the veil. But the point would be some kind of a veil. I think it needs more explanation. I'm not saying good shot, but the idea is that it was some kind of a veil that would be only for a basula, and if that's a proof, that's what they call nowadays. They call nowadays the bedekin. They call that a hinuma, and that hinuma. So I don't know. But here it says some kind of a cloth, a veil that would be that's one shot. The second shot. The first shot was some kind of a chuppah of adasim, but this was something you only do for the basula. That's the right that she's a basula. Rabbi Yochanan broke Omer. Tana Yehuda Raya. We learned this is in the Mishnah talks about the Inuma, talks about the Chiluk Kloyos. It says in the Brisa, Yehuda Raya. This was a proof in Yehuda. And Yehuda, that was the custom in Yehuda. How about in Bavel? Are there any other customs in Bavel of who's a basula? So it depends on time and place. But here it says what the custom was in Bavel. The Bavel, what was the custom in Bavel to do before a basula? Amar Rav, the duge, the mishcha, reisha the rabbanan. So Rashi says it means to smear oil on the heads of the rabbanan. They would smear oil on their heads. What does that mean? It means some kind of shampoo. You're putting shampoo like you didn't know what they're talking about. What is this oil on the heads of the rabbanan? Amalei Yasma Lavdach Lachimach Taduge Mishcha Reisha the rabbanan b'shas ma'isa. So Abai said to her, Papa, are you an orphan that your mother didn't do that? When you got married, means everybody does that. Like she was surprised that Papa said, like you're an orphan, that your mother didn't do that for you at the time when you got married, that they would smear oil on the heads of the rabbanan. Like by saying everybody does that. It doesn't explain what it is exactly, but that would be the minute that they would put oil on the heads of the rabbanan. It could be the young rabbanan. I don't know how old they were, these rabbanan. By the wedding of Rabbi Ba'ula's either son or daughter, either it was his son to Ahumi Rabbanan's son to the daughter of Rabbi Ba'ula, or Rabbi Ba'ula's son to the daughter of some Rabbanan. What happened? They did that at the time of the wedding. They smeared oil on the heads of the Rabbanan. Amaltamai, what's the simon for an amal if she's an almana? Here the Gemara says, Tani Rav Yosef Amalta less like Isani, that the almana doesn't have the kloyos. Means that whatever the kloyos that was the popped wheat that the what do you call it yesterday? The shibol, what did you call it? The eshbal, whatever. So there was the popped wheat, the roasted wheat, the popped wheat, shalva. So they don't do it. They didn't do it for almana. Yes, earlier the Gemara said that some places they weren't satisfied just not to do the simon of a basula by an almana. That's the right. The fact that they didn't do it. Some places the Gemara wanted to have the minute wanted to have dafka that there should be a simon that she's an almana, like the open barrel. It wasn't that they didn't do the closed barrel. They do dafka. Here it says that they didn't do the simon of the basula. That was a raya that she was an almana. And if you go a couple of lines more to get to the bottom of the daf, if we could do that, Umode Rabbi Yeshua ba'amar l'chaveru. It says in the Mishnah, back to the Migu, a little Gemara now, not a Gadata. If someone says that there's a Migu, that this is your father's field, it was your father's field, but I bought it from him. We didn't know that it was his father's field. He tells us it was your father's field, and I bought it, so it's Pesha hit there, and he's believed. We're listening about Yeshua. Why talk about the father? It was your father's, and I bought it from him. Say a simple case, it was yours, and I bought it from you. Why is that? Why go to a fancy case of the father's? You want to say a Peshasa? This is Peshasa also. I think my answer is because the Hemshech Mishnah wouldn't make sense. Because the Mishnah continues to say that if they're Edim that we know that it was once upon a time the father's, and now he says, but I bought it, he's not believed because there's no Peshasa. If it would have talked about the person himself, not a father, then it would have had to say that if they're Edim that it was once belonged to you, and I say I bought it, then it's not Neman. So that wouldn't be a Chiddush. We know that when someone claims that he bought a field, he has to have proof. The proof is usually a star, but a person doesn't hold on to a star forever. The deed of the contract, the deed of sale, he doesn't hold on to it forever. Once he was there for 3 years, that's considered a chazaka. This is the beginning of Sechus Baba Basra. There's a chazaka, and if he was there for 3 years and nobody complained, nobody protested, that's a good proof. So that's what I'm saying over here. If he has the years of chazaka, he's been there for 3 years, then he is believed. Even though the Aiden once upon a time belonged to Ruvain, but Shimon's been here for 3 years and he says, I bought it for you, I'm here already 3 years, so he's believed. If he doesn't have 3 years of chazaka, then of course not believed to say, I bought it from you. You have no proof. So that's why the Mishnah couldn't have spoken about the person himself, because the Mishnah wouldn't have made sense about the Sefer. Therefore, it talks about the father. And the Gemara says the same kasha. So the father also doesn't make sense. When it says that if they are Aiden that the father owned it, so then the person who says, I bought it from him is not believed. And the same kasha. The same kasha. What's the case? This person who saying that he bought it, does he have 3 years or not? If he has 3 years, he should be believed. If he doesn't have 3 years, of course he's not believed. So why is there more chiddush by the father than by the son. The Gemara answers, "Bishlam agabi Yav mishkachas taktikon shachar shtayim b'chayav v'achas b'chayav b'no." That there is a chiddush by the father, that even though when the father wrote to the father, and somebody started being in the field in the father's lifetime, when the son was still a minor, and then he continued staying after the father died, he stayed another 2 years, or 2 years and 1 year, he continued staying into the lifetime of the son, who's a katan. And he says afterwards, I bought it from your father, and you see I'm here for 3 years already. That's not a proof, because the son didn't know that it's his father's. He was a minor, he didn't know business, he didn't know what was happening. So the fact that he stayed in the field and didn't protest is because he was a katan. That he allowed the person to stay in the field because he was a katan. He didn't know what his father's business. So that doesn't show anything. And even if the son eventually grew up and he's there and he's there 3 years, and when the son is big, since he was there already 3 years while the son was a minor, so the chazaka doesn't show anything. But now the Gemara turns the tables. If that's true, that the Mishnah by Yos is muchach, that's the pshat in the chiddush of the Mishnah, because the chazaka started in the time of the father, and even though it went into this lifetime of the son, it's not a good chazaka, because the son doesn't know the father's business, he's a katan, so then it's a Mishnah, and you don't need Ravuna anymore. Ravuna that's Ravuna telling us it's chiddush. It's a Mishnah now. The Gemara answers, Iboy saying Ravuna do get the masis and come. You're right, maybe it would have been muchach from the Mishnah, but he wanted to bring out the point. He wouldn't have been able to figure out by himself that the chiddush of the Mishnah is only because the son, the chazaka continued into the lifetime of the son. It's going to tell the chiddush that even if he was 3 years in the lifetime of the son, since he started in the lifetime of the father, so the son doesn't know anything about it, and he continues quietly because he already started the chazaka in the lifetime of the father. But listen, the first white line, when you sleep with the day, the look going shach l'shtayim b'fanav v'achas lo b'fanav. The Gemara says, if you're happy with such a chiddush, then by the father, I can say such a chiddush by the son also. The case could be that he had the chazaka. The word achla means that he was living in the field 2 years in the presence of the original owner, and then 1 year not in the presence, and that's also going to be a chiddush that it's not a good chazaka. That the original owner of the field had to run away, and therefore he continued, the newcomer, he continued staying in the field even after the original owner was not there. He had to skip town, and we say that it's not good chazaka because it was not in front of him. The Gemara says, why did the original owner run away? Even the if he ran away because he was in danger of his life, then surely it's not a good macha, because it's not a good chazaka, because it's not a good macha. Just to explain a little bit the background of Abba Basra, to be in a field for 3 years, a field for 3 years, and not being no protest comes from the original owner, that's a very big kasha. Why didn't he protest? Someone sitting in the field for 3 years, they don't say anything. That makes a chazaka for the one who's living. The one who comes in, he's a chazaka. But if the person protests and he says, he's in my field, he tells Adam, someone's in my field, and what's the word they use for that? When someone moves into somebody else's house, what do they call him? No, not a tenant. When he's a squatter. That's a squatter. Good, thank you. So if he complains instead, tells Adam that there's a squatter in my building, so don't get impressed with his chazaka because I'm protesting. He's a squatter. So could he say that? He's not in the presence. He ran away because he's in danger of his life. So if he's in danger of his life, he can't make a machon in front of Adam, because then the government will find out where he is and they're going to come after him. So of course it's not a good chazaka. It means if the owner doesn't have an ability to make a machon, to make a protest, then the chazaka is not a chazaka. The strength of the chazaka is only because the owner should have said something. If he didn't say anything, then it's a good chazaka. But if he couldn't have said anything, then it's not a good chazaka. So if he ran away because he was in danger of his life, then the chazaka is not a chazaka because he couldn't be mocha. And if he ran away for financial reasons, so then people are angry, people like creditors are coming to collect money. So then he should have made a machaf from where he is. It means he's not in danger of finding out where he is. It's just that he can't come and face the people. So then he should have made a machaf, because that even when you're not in the presence, you don't have to go in the presence. If you make a machaf from far away, it's also considered a good protest, and the chazaka is not a good chazaka. So therefore, on the person himself, if it would have been a chazaka partially in front of him, partially not in front of him, because he had to run away. So if it was machmas tefashas pshita that it's not a good chazaka, it wouldn't have been a chiddush. And if it would be machmas mama, that wouldn't be true. It wouldn't be a good chazaka. And they want to finish this off with the proof about that. The Tanan, Shalosh Shavasal chazaka, Yehuda Ve'Yadim Megalo. Eretz Yisrael is divided into 3 counties as far as chazaka goes. Yehuda is the south, and Ever Yarden is the Transjordan, and Galo is the north of Eretz Yisrael. And each one is considered its own territory. And if someone is making a chazaka in one of these territories, and the owner, the original owner, is in a different of the counties, the 3 counties, so it's not considered a chazaka because his macha wouldn't be a good macha. We'll see soon why. Hay Yehuda v'hichzik beGolu or beGol v'hichzik beYehuda and a chazaka. Ad she'yimo b'Medina. That if the chazaka was happening in one of the 2 places in Yehuda or the 3 places, and the owner was in one place and the chazaka was in another place. So it's not a good chazaka until he's in the same country, still he's in the same Yehuda, or both of them are in Golo, both of them in Eva Yarden. Avin and Bovi asked the kasha in that Mishnah, what's the difference? Michael Saba, what does this Tana hold? If it's good macha, even if it's not in the presence of the one who's squatting, so he should have made a macha. So even Yehuda V'Gol, he should have made a macha. If it has to be dafka in his presence, so even 2 cities that are in the same area, both of them in Yehuda also shouldn't be a good macha. What's the difference? Yehuda V'Gol. That is a good protest, even if it's not in his direct presence, but it has to be at least that there should be able to be communication, travel between the 2 places. Chayrim means that there's no communication, that they don't allow communication, travel between one and the other. So Rashi explains that over there, if there's no traveling between, that you're not allowed to travel between one and the other, so then there's no kasha why I didn't make a macha. I'm going to make a macha, but he's going to say he didn't hear it. There was no, so if he didn't hear it, so he's going to say that it's not a good macha. So my macha doesn't help. So since I don't have to make a macha, even if I would have made a macha, it wouldn't have meant anything because he wouldn't travel. And he has to have the news. So what's the point? If you make a macha for within the 3 years, then the machzik, he hears about it and he holds on to his contract more. He has a deed of sale. If everything's quiet for 3 years, then he loses it. But if he knows that people are complaining about his ownership, there's some issue about it, he's going to hold on to his deed more. But if he doesn't hear about the macha, so then he doesn't have to hold on to his deed. So there's no reason to make a macha because he's going to say that I didn't hear it anyway. Why does it talk about Yehuda V'Golo? Because over there, that was the situation. They weren't able to go from one to the other. But even within Yehuda and Yehuda also, if there's no communication between 2 cities, so then the chazaka is not a chazaka because the macha is not a macha. All this came in Aga. We'll do it again tomorrow. This part of chazaka. Yeshakar everybody.
How much did we go today?
A little more than nothing. A lot more than nothing.
A daf and a half.
By Tisha B'Av, we should be